mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
But once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. Yo, welcome everyone, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. Welcome to another dope episode of Chill Will Radio. This is number 79, man. I hope everyone's doing good, man. I hope everyone's doing great, man. I feel good. Thanks to the lovely people here in the studio for making me laugh real quickly, or me making them laugh. We had like a little, it wasn't really a karaoke session because I just kind of took over, but like, yeah, shout out to them, man. But how am I doing? How's my week? What's up with me? There we go. One of the things I want to make sure I state to a lot of individuals, specifically all these black folks, right? Obviously within this week there has been a lot going on in regards to the Ahmaud Arbery video that came out whatever day this week that came out, and there was also a few videos within the past few weeks of police brutality in other states, and how the white man police officer treats his white fellow counterparts who aren't wearing masks, who aren't social distancing, but they're treating us black folks the same way they treat us black folks, right? The one thing I think is important that a lot of us black people don't really understand. We probably do understand, but I don't really see anybody talking about it. But the fact that, one, the constant reposting of certain videos, right, how that triggers certain things for everybody, and everybody's different. And I made a statement in my video that, the constant reposting of it, everybody looks at it in a different way. And one of the ways many people may look at it, many white people may look at it, is, nigga, remember your place type of video, right? But also us black people, we look at it, right? We talk about this pain and we talk about all of this stuff. But the one thing that's important I believe is extremely important for a lot of us to understand, is that just because you being able to stomach a video like that does not mean that you're strong. That does not mean that, that doesn't mean you're a strong person, right? There's something wrong with the fact that we're able to stomach that, right? And I think that's something that a lot of us need to kind of touch on, right? The fact that we are able to stomach that, the fact that we are able to look at it, the fact that we are able to constantly repost it. And even though looking at it, it may trigger certain things, that it may, light a short little fuse, but let's be honest with ourselves. It's lighting a short fuse, because 2 weeks from now, we ain't finna hear about that at all. A week from now, we're not going to hear about it at all. And I think that's important, right? These white folks understand that we are going to be mad for 2.5 seconds, and we're just going to move on with our life, right? Because we're going to do the constant reposting of stuff. We're going to do the marches. We're going to do the regular protests, and then we're going to move on, right? That's not to say that there aren't people who are doing groundwork, right? Because there are many people out here who is doing the groundwork that is drastically needed for any type of real change to actually come. But I think it's important that you actually look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you able to stomach videos like this? Why are you comfortable constantly reposting videos like this? Right? Because I look at I don't follow certain people, right? What's that black guy that look white? He was like on BET. I think it was like Sean King or something like that. Him. Right? I don't follow that man. I don't follow D.L. Hughley. There are certain people that I don't follow only because they constantly repost that type of stuff. On one end, I get it. Let's put the word out. Let's spread the message. Let's help people understand that this type of injustice is constantly going on. But however, you as a black person, if you do not believe that you need that on your timeline or on your feed, take that shit off. You do not need to be informed over every little black injustice. You do not need to be up to date on every little black injustice like it's the thing to be updated about. Like, nah, if that is the one thing that triggers you outright, flat out, leave it alone. You're not wrong for that. I think it's wrong, and I think it's something to look at for those individuals who are able to constantly look at it, replay it over and over and over, and constantly put themselves in a place of anxiety, constantly put themselves in a place to where they're being triggered. See, you're constantly going to be triggered so much to where that you're not going to be triggered at all, right? You can only sit and shit so long before you stop smelling it. You know, you can only watch something so long before you stop feeling it, right? And if you can watch it and be like, damn, it's fucked up, and that's it, that damn, this is fucked up response is just a generic response, right? So look at how much you're able to stomach it. Look at how much you're able to look at it. Look at how long, because if you're constantly replaying it and replaying it, you're causing the anxiety into yourself. This is self-produced. This is self-imposed. You're triggering yourself by constantly replaying it. Black people, turn the shit off. Stop looking at certain things. But black folks, understand, just because you're able to stomach this, that does not mean you're strong. That is not a powerful thing. We should not be able to stomach shit like that. Definitely shouldn't. And if we get to a place to where we have to stomach it, or if we get to a place to where we're constantly watching it, like I said, turn it off, but also ask yourself those questions. Why? And it's flat out wrong that one specific race has to get to a point to where we have to stomach this, because that is a way of life for us. All right? It's a way of life. It comes with the territory of being black here in America. You know, it comes with the territory. Comes with the territory of being black here in America. And it sucks to say, but that's what it is, right? There are certain things that we have to do. There are certain conversations that we have to have with our kids, right? One of my biggest fears is and I was telling this to my friend Jasmine, I think like earlier this week or something, but like I really, really hope that I do not see any type of police brutality, like physically, right? Because I understand myself. All of my homeboys can vouch for this. I have a huge problem with the police. I will fight an officer. I've done that before. I have no problem doing it again. Because I don't watch, but I see some of these videos and I hear some of this stuff, and you see a black woman getting her head bashed in by a police officer, but you have the black man right there on his phone watching, just, oh. And then he want to be the first one to repost it like it's some celebrity bullshit. Like, step in. Don't be afraid to step in. Always understand there is more of us than it is them. Am I inciting something? I'm not inciting shit. I'm just saying, if you see something that you completely disagree with, you are not wrong for stepping up. I think a lot of the times we need to be able to have someone right there step up. The only few times in which I've seen people step up to police brutality is always coming from black women. Always coming from black women. I never see a black man step up and stand in front of either your black brother or your black sister, whomever, in front of the police, because you're scared to get your head bashed in. And I get it. It is you're not wrong for not wanting to get your head bashed in or go to jail, because 9 times out of 10 that's probably what's going to happen, because the police view you as a threat. They view us as a threat. But we have to get to a place to where we're standing up for ourselves. We have to get to a place to where we're standing up for one another, instead of just being the one to constantly repost it. Because if you are not triggered, if you are getting to a place to where this triggering of these videos is not affecting you, man, that's beyond bad. I cannot stress this enough. But we have to get to a place to where we do something a little bit more than just the reposting of it. That does not mean that you have to go all out here and hold some big ass event or do this or whatever. Like, nah, give the black man on your corner that's asking for some money a few dollars. You know, do something, right? But do something, stand up for something. I get that. But let's be able to be consistent within our anger. We're not consistent within our anger. And because we're not consistent within our anger, we understand that this is going on too much. And because we understand that this is going on too much, we're taking it as a way of life. And because we take it as a way of life, we're just going to let it be. Regardless. Right? So, black folks, understand you should not be able to stomach this. If you are able to stomach this, ask yourself why. Be able to connect. Because if you are able to stomach this, you've disconnected from something at some point in time, right? That's one of the things we teach in therapy a lot, right? How are you able to connect with your feelings? How are you able to connect with this stuff or this thing or this place or person, whatever it is? Because the disconnection is what's going to fuck you up at the end of the day. Figure out how you can connect. Figure out how you can stand up for something, and figure out what you can do to be able to give back in some type of way. You give 25 cents to the dude on the corner that's asking you for some money. If you don't feel comfortable asking for some money, hey, go get him some food. Whatever it is. We got to do something more than just allowing this police brutality to be the trend of the week. Because that's all I'm starting to see happen. Because in 2 weeks, this finna be dead. All right. Moving on forward to damn, where am I going? The self-care piece. There we go. My bad. I kind of got lost in the sauce and all that good thing, man. But moving on forward to the self-care piece, right? One of the things I want everyone to implement within their self-care piece, and I'm very, very big on this, right, is taking risks, right? Every month, take at least one risk, right? Put yourself in a position where you can take a risk. 1 risk, 2 risks, whatever it is. If it's going skydiving, you know, if it's doing, I said it early on within the show, you know, do something that you hate every day. Take some type of risk, right? Because you have to surprise yourself, right? We are in a place right now to where we are just now starting to get out of quarantine. And a lot of us have to create new habits. A lot of us have to rebuild those positive habits that kind of have been diminished because of the quarantine. While you're out here starting to create something else, do something that you've always wanted to do. Take a risk. Start that business. Talk to that girl. Go to the whatever it is. If you're the person that isolated a lot and stay in the house, go to the bar. Like, for real, it's the summer. Go travel somewhere. Just take a risk to go somewhere. Right? You're going to begin to understand that things aren't as bad. Things aren't as scary. You do have a little bit of, you know, life within you. But we sit down a lot and we don't take those risks, and we allow ourselves to be comfortable in many things in our life, right? So take a risk, right? Every month, no matter what it is. Skydiving, I'm always going to say take that risk because nobody wants to do it with me. But hey, it is what it is. All right, so moving on forward to the main topic. Why are you back?
Because you told me to come back. Like, I would have been at home, sleep on my mama couch.
I have the text message that you asked. Like, hey, Willis, am I coming back next week?
Because I was trying to get my life together, sir. It is Mother's Day. I could be at home, sleep on my mama couch right now.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. I ain't nobody mama. I'm a dog mom, and a god mom, but I ain't nobody mama. But happy Mother's Day to all the mommies out there.
What's your mom's name? Carolyn.
Mommy.
Yeah, mommy.
Hold on, I'm texting you.
Happy Mother's Day. I got a question for you. I got a request. Tia, I asked Tia this, like, the first time we met. She said, hell nah. But
She's gonna be like, what? I don't know if she can hear you. I hope so.
Well,
I told her that you were going to ask her a question.
Yeah, my question to you is this. I want you to come skydiving.
my text messages are currently blank right now.
I want you to
she's writing back. Hold on.
I want you to come skydiving. Right? Tia already said nah.
She said she's listening.
Come skydiving.
I can't believe you're trying to. Are you trying to take my mother away from me, Will?
I just want to take her skydiving.
I'm her only.
I just want to take her skydiving. I want to take everybody skydiving. Tell Mama, she said, how old is she?
My mom will be. Ooh, I think I might get in trouble for saying this.
That's
my mom
okay.
will be. She looks amazing. 59 years old.
59.
Living her best. She's built. She got muscle. She be in the gym.
Check it. See,
my mom said, Mom, I'm going to say it. Don't yell at me. My mom said, hell no. And my mama don't cuss. So she said, hell no. Mom, I'm not getting in trouble for that later. She said, hell no.
I always say this, man. It was one time a few months back. There was a so in the skydiving thing when there's a lot of people who jumping out of a plane at one time. We call it like big waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing this formation in the sky to create like a certain shape, and it was, I say, like probably around between 50 and 60 people, right? Nobody within that was under the age of 60.
Oh wow.
Nobody was in that, right? And then the most profound thing I've seen within that is I seen this skinny old little white guy. And he was super white. Like he was white. His hair was white. He had on the white jumpsuit and he had on a white container, red, right? He had white everything. I'm like, okay, he's fine. But the thing is, he walked up to the airplane with a cane, right? Walked up there with the cane, handed his wife the cane when he got onto the airplane, did his little thing. When he landed, his wife, her old ass, walked up to him too and handed him the cane.
This is horrible.
Everybody that was over 60, and to me it was crazy because it's like, yo, it defines how powerful our body is, but more so how powerful our mind is if we just allow ourselves to go through it, right? So I take it because your mother's like, hell nah, she's probably scared of heights or something.
And
like
she's
that.
a Sagittarius like you, so you know
Exactly.
she ain't playing with you.
I mean, I feel it, but like Sagittarius are adventurous, right?
She is very adventurous. Like I told you earlier, she did the zip lining in Jamaica, so
That ain't no different.
she's a boss. My mom is a boss, but she'll take like different type of risks. But my mom's a boss, like, but she does not like heights. So I don't think you'll
See,
ever
but here's
talk
the
her
thing
into
though, right? I had my homeboy a few months back come skydiving with me, right? And he's scared of heights, like scared shitless, right? Scared of heights. He don't even mess with escalators or elevators or nothing like that, right? Scared. He got on it, right? Skydive. He loved it. He still said he was scared. He loved it. The one thing that I helped him understand, and the one thing he was able to walk away with is that your fear of heights, your anxiety when it comes to something, your fear of anything, it probably will never go away.
True. Well,
It
you got a
probably
different
will
answer
never
from
go
her
away.
just now. She said that she has to pray about it.
I got you. We can pray together. I pray twice. I pray is right before I jump, and then I also pray as soon as the parachute is over my head.
I think she has to pray before she actually commits to
That's
it.
okay.
She's got to pray her whole
That's
time.
okay. Mama, I'm gonna kidnap you and we gonna go have some fun. And Tia already said no, and I can pray with you on the plane. And then once the parachute open up, you can go ahead and thank God, because that's what I be doing too.
Amen.
You feel me? Yeah. So it's not about the fear. It's not about getting over it. It's about being able to function within it.
I feel like
It's
she already
about
pushed the baby out. She should be
exactly. You push the baby out, and
this big-headed baby
this guy big old head, like
with all this hair.
man.
Do you know my mom didn't think that she could get pregnant? So this baby is a miracle baby on Mother's Day.
The Lord got your back.
I guess, or I made it to the egg.
Not your back, her
Oh.
back. The Lord got your back, mama.
Well,
He's 59. You live 59. And, I mean, you been through some things that I, and myself and Tia, will never be able to, go through or see. So
she's incredible.
a little 50-second fall ain't gonna do nothing to you. A little 50-second
You
fall.
trying to have my mama to come back home.
Who?
You gonna have to adopt me. Somebody gonna have to adopt me if my mama don't come back home.
Oh, I'm gonna get killed.
Who's
Like,
gonna
you
do-
gonna kill me, I think.
I would. Like
Exactly.
100%. I would come and kill you in front of all these people.
She gonna come home and be like, I liked it, but I'm still scared of heights.
She said 58. See, she will be 59. She'll be 59 in November.
I feel
She
like I
had
just
me right
put you
before
on
her
blast and
30.
you don't know your mom's age.
My
and
mom
it's on Mother's Day.
Mom's
God
age.
damn. It's on Mother's
My
Day.
mom swore she was 57 for like a cool 3 days, and she wasn't.
That ain't got nothing to do with her. Ain't got nothing to do with her.
No, my mom is amazing.
Exactly.
She is the greatest of greats.
And she's
So.
gonna be that dope individual. Be like, yo, I went skydiving with this little old black man with glasses. And
Old black man, she gonna be like, this young little black man with a beard. He took me skydiving. I could be a cougar. She gonna immediately think she can be a cougar.
Hey.
Mom.
Where you going skydiving on, mama? Tia, you can come too. You can come.
I'm gonna cheer for you.
You come
guys.
right along. You can see us, come down and all that good stuff.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
I'm here for you.
Exactly. So
But why am I back again, bro? Why are we doing this?
you
to each other?
asked.
Why
You
are-
literally asked.
No,
Hey, I could pull
you
up the
gave
text
me
message.
2 days.
I could be like, yo,
You was like, you can come
am I
this
coming
day
back?
and this
Am
day.
I coming back on Sunday?
I had to
I
get
was
my
like,
life together. I got a pack, bro. Like, I got a dog that's still sick at home.
your dog is sick. Your dog got
Her
the
eye
corona.
is like, I don't know. That makes me emotional. I'm like one of those pet parents that when she like passes away, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Just get another one. You'll be alright.
No, whatever.
This your first dog?
I've had her since I was 15.
Oh, it's one of them type of dogs.
Baby.
You grew up with this little
I
dog.
did, and I grew up with her mom too.
Ooh. You should have a dog get some kids. So that way.
Spayed.
Don't be spading these animals, man. Don't.
I don't know what to tell you.
Don't be spading these animals, dog. Yeah, no.
She's so tiny though. She could.
So what? That's inhumane. You don't want nobody spade you?
Maybe no, because the dogs be like humping her and stuff, and she don't like that.
Your dog done went through menopause. Your dog done got spayed. Her libido is low.
She's leaving me.
Like,
She
golly.
ain't got time for these other dogs.
Your dog ain't with the functions at all, but it's
No.
okay.
No.
It's okay, little mutt. You did your thing.
How are you doing today, though?
I am doing really, really good. I sang to everyone in this room earlier today.
Guys,
And I
he be
feel
trying
good.
to act like he's super duper chill, like he just be mellow. I saw a whole side of him today that I don't know if I could ever forget. Like, I feel like every time I hear it go on, girl, like there will be flashes.
So we're finna move on forward to the main topic of the show, right? Today, we talking about.
Y'all don't let these men shut you up, okay?
I would hit the mute button again.
Yes, let's go to the main topic. I'm done with you. You done given me a headache for
All right,
today.
so today, what are we talking about today? The need for approval, right?
Can you define that for the folks? What is that?
The reason why I want to talk about that first, before you try to tell me what direction to go.
I want to know what the definition is.
So the need for approval, right? So y'all know I'm a therapist and all this good stuff, right? So I was running group therapy earlier in the week. Yeah, I was running not group therapy, individual therapy. I'm sorry. I was during my session, individual session, right? We were speaking about this need for approval, right? And why we kind of cling on to it and why it's so important to us. Why it's so important to her. No, him, my bad. Why is it so important to him? Why is it so important to him? This individual, right? And for him, from what he stated to me, it's because he's never had anyone give him any type of satisfaction towards everything that he has, right? Because he has a lot of things. College graduate, great husband, fabulous father, nice little house. He's doing his thing, right? But he doesn't feel fulfilled because no one's telling him like, "Yo, good job." Blah,
Like
blah,
validating
blah.
him?
No one's validating any of the things that he's saying, and he keeps telling me that. Well, he was telling me that he was searching for the approval of his family because he worked. He's the first everything, like the first graduate, first homeowner, first like all of that, right? Shit. The first one to be there for his child. Like, he's the first everything. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but first everything.
First man to be there for his child? Is that what you said?
In the family.
Oh, that's special. I'll validate it.
So shouts out to him, man.
Yeah.
But the need for approval, the feeling, the need to be validated, right? And I started to think about all of us who need it at some point in time, why we do need it, and then how sometimes, even within our personal lives, I need the validation at certain point in times. You need the validation at certain point in times. It may not be so expansive and so, defined. Like, I need your specific approval and if I don't get your thing. But we all want to feel validated. We all want to feel important. We all want to feel as if we're doing the right thing. Because if we're not getting that external validation, to a certain extent, from certain people, it may not mean much, right? Because I can internally validate myself all the time. I know I'm the shit, like, period, right? But that doesn't mean nothing if I'm not hearing it from someone else. So That's why we're here.
That's why we're talking about validation.
Yes, so you had a question.
What is the definition of needing approval, or what does that mean?
What is the definition?
But you went
for-
over it though. You just said it's needing validation, needing people to say good job. Yay. So
Yeah. I need the
what
validation.
that
I
is.
need someone to say good job. I need someone to just be able to say, I see you. I
that's a
need
good
someone to
definition.
be able to sit there and say, I see you. Because if we're just doing things and nobody's saying this, man, what importance does it really have on a lot of our lives?
I think there's also like types of validation too, like, you know, the validation of like the family, like you're doing a good job as a family man, as the first to graduate and all that. But then I think of like social media validation, you know, my favorite topic in the whole wide world, and how we use outside sources for validation too.
But
So.
is social media validation important?
No, I don't think so personally, but there's a lot of people out there that do think that it's very
Do you think
important
it's
because they're
positive?
not getting it from somewhere else. I think it could be negative or positive. I think that there's positive of saying good job, especially when you don't have other people behind you saying it. I don't think it's as important when you have, you know, like a mom or a girlfriend or a partner saying like, great job, you're doing wonderful. Don't look at me like that.
Nah, I'm telling you
Your
to put
eyes
something
just
up.
shifted.
It's not that. It's just I'm telling you to put your bra strap, man. Damn.
Oh my God, that's prime more today.
I wasn't trying to
Just
say it.
say it, okay?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Have her say it then. If you're not gonna say it, let her say it.
I was going like this. If I go like
Just
this,
say your bra strap. So I'm gonna ask her to validate. I look okay. Good validation. See,
Thank
that
you.
is supportive validation.
at least I was trying to help you out.
No, just say it. Just
God
be
damn,
like,
we can't please nobody.
your bra strap is down.
Can't please nobody. I be trying. See,
I
man,
don't feel it. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, see, man, like I was trying to help people out, like, and now
I'm
it's
thinking
like
you're
I'm
looking
getting
at me
clowned.
sideways and what I'm saying. I'm like, oh Lord, he's giving me the side eye. But see, that's validation. I'm making sure that you like what I'm saying because it's your show. So I want you to validate that it's good.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, does my validation even really matter? On a certain
Absolutely,
extent,
because it's your show.
on one end, but also you're going to say what you want.
True.
Exactly.
So
Right, and I think there's power within that, right? Even though a lot of us look at being stubborn in a negative way, there is power in having that much faith in yourself that you're going to do what you need to do or say what you need to say,
All the
regardless. But how does someone build that trait or that ability?
I think it's hard because we'll go back to like childhood. When I work with kids, we tell parents a lot about like intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. And so as kids, we are taught early that extrinsic motivation is like the thing, you know, especially in like behaviorism. I'm speaking in therapist term, but you know, you get good grades, you get to go somewhere, or you get money for good grades or whatever. I never got that though, Mom, thanks. But you get validated for doing good. So when you're not doing good or you're struggling, you don't get validated.
Why am I doing all of this, right?
Exactly. So I think it starts off from us being kids. That's how we're taught to kind of make it in the world. When you do a good job on your homework, you get a sticker, you know. So we're always looking for that because that's how we're taught in school to be validated. We're not taught early on to intrinsically validate ourselves. We don't really do that until we're in like college or late high school.
Man, some of us don't even do that now.
Yeah.
You know,
at all.
and it's like we still do it, but it doesn't really mean much.
Right.
A lot of the times we just kind of just go with the flow of things, and we're doing things because we feel as if we're supposed to do it, right? I'm going to school, not really because I care about it or because the family care about it or whatnot. I just think it's something I'm supposed to do, right? So the validation may not matter at that point because, hey, it's just something I'm supposed to do. But as you were stating, the validation that is either constantly given to us as a kid, we're going to begin to rely on it because that is how I'm able to respond to it, or the validation that is never there. So I'm relying on it because I need to be aware that I'm doing the right thing. But getting out of that validation is sometimes, not sometimes, is way harder than what it is, right? Because when we have all of that extrinsic validation from other people, it says a lot about the self-esteem, right? We're looking at how low our self-esteem is, right? And that's a question that a lot of us kind of need to be honest with, right? Honest with yourself. How is your self-esteem? How do you feel about yourself? How low or high, or wherever you at in it, right? Where are you at? Because
Right.
that could determine how much you're actually relying on it.
100%. And I think that people who do have relatively low self-esteem, that's how they fall into bad relationships. That's how they fall into bad friends. Is, you know, a lot of people that join gangs, for example, they get that validation from the different gang members. I don't know if any of y'all are in gangs, you know, but they get the validation from the gang member or the bad influences. So, you know, like they say, all press doesn't have to be good press, you know, and that's where that validation looks like when you constantly either seek it or you've been given it your whole life and now you don't have it anymore from that person or whatever, and now you're out there looking for it. So it can go either way. Either you don't have it and you do, you know.
And it's
So,
just a hole that needs to be filled, right?
Yeah.
Because when you brought up the gangs and all that other stuff, I'm just thinking of the hole that needs to be filled, right? I'm
Right.
just thinking of the love or something that needs to be filled
right.
because we didn't get it at some point in time.
Yeah.
How do you think someone is supposed to fill it on their own, though?
I think a lot of people get it by finding what they're passionate about. I think that's a big part of that self-validation. If you find something that you really love, like skydiving, you had to learn how to do it, and then eventually, once people were like, good job, you started validating yourself and like, I love how to do this.
Nah.
You didn't do that.
No.
Most people would do that.
I'm
But do you think you're a good skydiver?
No.
What? Well, just kill my whole example, bro.
I'm good enough to save my life.
Okay, then. So that is validation. They let you have a certification, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then. So you're good enough, right? To
not kill myself.
To not kill yourself and be certified to do what you do. But you kept going even though you weren't good at it in the beginning. And you kept getting that validation. Keep going till you got that certification. So you may not think you're great at what you do, but somebody thinks you are. They wouldn't have certified you.
Yeah. It's there. It's definitely there.
Now I'm definitely not going skydiving with you. You just said that you ain't good. Oh my God. No.
There's always room to grow, though.
Okay,
Right.
we'll say that.
There's always room to grow. But, you know,
Right.
going off of your example, and for me, I care way more about how I speak to myself than anything else. Only because that's the only thing that I have control over. Right. And I think a lot of the validation, the external validation, that's also a conversation around control, right? Because I cannot control what Tia says about Willis. Even though Willis knows he's super dope, I can't control what Tia says. Tia can come in here and be like, Willis, even though, you know, you may have a little podcast, you're not a good therapist. She could say anything, right? I don't have control over that.
True.
Right? I think the validation piece is also, or the need for approval is also a conversation around around our relationship with control and how we need to be mindful and focus on the things that we can control. So for me, I can only control myself, but now we have to be super honest about certain things, right? Because if you're saying you're not good at something, it's okay to say you're not good at something.
100%.
It's okay to say that, like, hey, I may not believe in myself at this specific moment. I think we fight so much with the disapproval of things without understanding that the acknowledgement of it is more important than just actually kind of going with the flow of it. Right? The acknowledge of something that you kind of disagree with and what you are going to do with that acknowledgement of it means something more than anything else. Right? Because if we're relying on the next man to say something we don't get it, we're going to use that as we're going to be dependent on it.
Right.
So,
But what if you get that validation from different people, if that makes sense? Like, you know, a guy can tell me, you look beautiful. You're the most amazing woman I've ever seen.
it means a lot.
Yeah. But then the next guy can say, ugh, you're not my type.
But it all depends on who, like with that, right? It depends on who we want that validation from. So, say, for example, you know, I have this one lady who say, like, I look good. Oh, okay, baby, good looking. But then I have this other young lady who say I look good. It's just like, all right, you know. But it's because of, from my perspective, and I think with everyone else, we see something else in that other person. We see some form of importance some form of importance within that person. I may feel like that woman looks good. I may feel like that woman don't look as good. I ain't going to say that word because every woman is beautiful. I ain't going to say that.
They're just not your type.
Yeah, she just I don't like the type. You just don't look as good as A. You know, and we're gonna go that route.
You don't know New Edition?
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the external validation fully depends on that person and how we relate or how we see that person. If we don't see that person as any type of importance within our specific life, you know, then validation from them isn't really going to matter much. But at the same token, even if that person is important, and if we feel like complete trash about ourselves, no matter what they say, it can feel good at that moment, but it's not going to hold any weight in the long run.
Yeah. Or you're going to keep needing it over and over and over. And that's why, you know, you have girls that are sex trafficked and boys that are sex trafficked constantly and things like that. Like, if you look at an example of ongoing need for validation, those are usually the populations that end up getting picked up because of that validation piece. I think you're wonderful. I'll take care of you. All of that. So you do have to really look at just a plethora of things, not just, you know, self-esteem, but how these people were raised, all of that. Because if they've never had it, or again, if they've had too much, because I feel like a lot of our clients have had way too much validation, and now they just walking on water. Like, they're the next best thing to Christ. Like, I've seen way too much validation, and it is not the business.
I mean, yeah, and it's like you're not going to know, like, hey, you're validating this person too much, or you're validating this person too little. Like, there's no textbook balance beam on how much is too much when it comes to the validation of a person. But, you know, when it just comes to us, let's say us, me validating others, right? Do you think it is hard for me to validate another person at certain times?
Do I think for you specifically?
No, just for people.
Just in life? Yeah, if it's not true to what you truly believe, I think it would be really hard to validate somebody else. Like, if you don't agree with it, you're going to be lying. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to take that like I'm right. Like in an argument, if you're like, I'm right, and I'm like, yep, you're right, you know everything, but I know deep in my heart you're not right. Like, I've just lied to you and possibly ruined you for the next person, you know, because now you're going to be a narcissist walking on water again, thinking you're right all the time. Not you, sir. You know, folks like you, Sagittarius.
Why do you don't like Sagittarius?
I love you guys
Was
so
your
much.
ex a Sagittarius?
No, he was a Libra.
Okay, so what do you have to think about Sagittarius?
My mom is one. And my mom has a very big personality in such a great way. She tells me that I'm the sensitive one. So
I can see.
You know what? Don't have me coming across the stage.
I'm just saying, like, you getting on Sagittarius, and clearly your mom is dope. That's why she's finna go skydiving with me. So like,
dope. But my mom validates in a very different way too. My mom is not one, for me, she's never been one to like go crazy and jump for joy. But she's like that because she already knows that I have the capabilities to do what I do.
That's an important piece, right? Understanding that person's way of validating someone. Because I think validating just looks, to a lot of people, they believe, oh, I like you, or good job, or whatever. And it's like, nah, and certain people give it off a certain way, and certain people often like receive it a different way as well. So like your mother, I'm the exact same way. I'm never the person to be like, yeah, good job, blah, 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 blah. Ooh,
and that's why y'all are Sagittarius.
Like, not that guy. But how does validation coming from me, what does it look like? It's going to, damn, what does it look like?
Does it look like my mom, where it's like, I knew you had it in you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's validation.
Yeah, I'm just going through all the times. Yeah, it looks like that.
Exactly.
All right, exactly like that. The motivation and everything, right? Because for me, when I see something in when I see something in the person, it's like I have to constantly kind of like not be on you, but I have to constantly kind of like check in, see where you at, let you know, like, hey, I don't know, it's like I just know. It's weird, you know, but it's just the validation is there.
So being like a kid who was highly sensitive and not hearing it, like there was a time that I would tell my mom, like, are you even proud of me? And she would be like, of course. But I would hear it from other people, like, your mom bragged about you, your mom did this, you did that. So it took me a while to learn kind of my mom's love language, in essence, was she's not words of affirmation. She's not that. She's acts of service. So like the way that my mom would validate me, she would come and paint my office. or she would just buy things at the store to make sure that the house looks good. Like, that was her way of showing validation, like, you're on the right path. So
Sounds like me.
yeah. Oh, I got a head nod over there.
I completely.
So that's your love language then.
Wait, my girl agrees?
Hey.
Oh, she agrees with me. So that's who I am.
So
right?
that's your
if,
love
if I
language.
do stuff for you, then I got you. But
Yeah.
if I don't, trust. If I ain't gonna do nothing for you, you know what it is. Honest knows
So you being nice to me today, was that like your way of telling me that
I was
you love
trying
me?
to, but she completely like curved it.
I'm sensitive,
I
sir.
don't care. You accept the niceness or fucking get on, because I'm not nice to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So that you have to understand how you accept it and how you give it and all of that. Because validation looks I'm very words of like affirmation. I'm gonna tell you, you did
So-
a great job.
Okay, so for you need someone to tell it to you, or that's just how you feel?
I like to be told, but that's my own personal anxieties. Like, I never think that I do anything good enough. So when people are like, you do a great job, I'm like, did I really, like, did it sound awful? Did you
Very
listen?
self-critical. Like,
Very self-critical. So for someone like me who's very sensitive, like, I like to hear it so I know that I'm on the right path. But not everybody is like me, you know. So I think validation looks very, very different for everybody.
Oh, no, it definitely does. And I think I really, really do like the point of how are you able to get it off and how are you receiving it.
Yeah.
On my end, I don't know. On my end, I just want to see what you are going to do for me, right? So it's active service on both sides. And
Yeah.
your mother probably is the same way.
Yeah.
But it's active service on both sides. Are
Yeah.
you doing something for me? Are you, taking me here, or are you showing me how much you love me, or whatever the case is? That's just the validation that I need, that I see from you.
Yeah. But my mom also uses what I do as validation too, that she did a good job. Like, she raised me by herself, so seeing me do what I do, she's like, okay, that lets me know that I didn't fail her, you know. So she's very much like a external, internal validator. It's very weird.
Hey, also with you coming skydiving, Mama, you trying to come onto the show?
Lord help me on all things. I don't know if she's still listening.
And she'll listen at some point in time, but we're gonna have Mama Briscoe coming at some point in
That
time.
is not my mom's last name.
Oh shit!
That's my dad's name.
God damn.
Sorry, Mom. My mom's last name is Culver. Like Culver City.
We're gonna have Mama come onto the show. I feel like I just.
You know what though? She's cool with my dad, so she, like, when people do that, she's like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
She don't care.
Alright. Still saying Mama, and I'm sorry.
Just call her Mom. Everybody calls my mom Mom. So she's being validated right now by being called out. on
Yeah,
the
because
show.
you're anything when it comes to your mom, you speak about positivity from her.
Oh yeah,
so-
she's an amazing human.
So you don't. So necessarily, we don't have to hear it directly from that person. But as long as that person can say it away from you, sometimes that may mean more than anything.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what. I don't know what Didier says about me when he leaves from here. But I'm sure.
nothing.
But I'm sure whatever Didier does say, I'm sure it's positive. Same on my end, right? Even though I hear people talking about Didier be tripping on Instagram and all this other stuff, like yo, Didier's passionate
I
about
have
his
not
tripping stuff.
seen you trip on Instagram.
I mean Facebook. I'm sorry.
Facebook. Oh, I'm like, your Instagram be looking real clean.
Yeah, that can be crazy everywhere. You know?
I need to add you on Facebook because I want to see this. I need entertainment.
Okay.
But okay, I have another question.
What's up?
I don't know if we're running out of time though.
Go.
Is validation the same as acceptance to you? Because I feel like they're two different things. But what do you think?
Acceptance in what way?
Like being accepted, being well accepted, and being validated.
I mean, they're two different things. We want the acceptance, but the acceptance is going to be shown through the validation. But I believe that they're two different things.
But what if you're being validated and the person doesn't accept what you do? So, like, I could be out here having premarital sex. My mom is a Christian. She doesn't believe in it, but she still validates me as a person. So can you do both?
No. You can't. You can't. I think it depends on, like, where you draw the line. Depends on where you draw the line and where you see yourself at that moment. You know, like, a lot of women that I know, they're going through, like,
say it.
A lot of women I know, like, they're going through like a whole phase,
Do
right?
we have to call it a whole phase? I don't like that.
I like it.
I just feel like women are like exploring their
Men go through whole
sexuality.
phases too. Like I had a
But
whole-
why does it have to be? We gonna have another show about this. I don't care
About
if
what?
I never come back. We
Oh my gosh.
show about this.
Women being a little bit more sexually active.
Yes, that's the example we're using.
I'm still gonna use whole face.
I'm still there with you.
But like either like women going through their whole phase, like women going through their whole phase, right? They at that moment, they're probably, you know, their parents and everything don't want to accept it, but they may accept who they are at that moment. You know, does the validation from their friends really matter? As long as their friends aren't telling them, you know, well, it may not really matter if their friends telling them, giving them validation or not, as long as they accept where they're at in their life and what they're trying to not accomplish from it, but where they're at in
We're
their
trying
life.
to get at.
Exactly, right? So the acceptance piece and the validation piece, I believe is two different things. I believe it fully depends on if you accept it or not.
Yeah.
Because we want to be accepted by other people and we want to be validated by other people. But
It's a weird balance. Because I think that they don't have to accept what you do in order to, like, for example, my mom was like, you can't get any tattoos or, you know, pierce your face or whatever until you're out of my house. And so I waited until I was out of her house to get tattooed and pierced. She validated the piercing and the tattoo. You're super, super cute, but it's not something she particularly wanted me to do. So could she still validate it? Like, hey, you look great, but it not be something that she accepts. That's the example.
she could, like, it's a sticky balance. I think the acceptance piece is more on the behavior side of things, and I think the validation piece is more internal.
Like the character.
Exactly.
Okay.
I can accept I can accept or I can't accept the behaviors or the caricature that you're showing at this point. I'm not going to accept the fact that, you know, you got a nose ring or whatever it is. But I still validate you as a person. I know you a dope ass individual, but this nose ring is ugly as hell. You know, but I so in my mind, that's how I'm going to kind of differentiate the two. But it is like a sticky balance because you can. Yeah, I think you can validate someone because I think you're going to validate that person as a whole.
Yeah.
And just when it comes to that specific behavior, like I love my kids, but I ain't fucking with them. You know, like I love my girl, but I can't accept the fact that she be asking too many questions. Like, just stop asking questions.
You want me to fight him for you? Okay. I'll do it for you.
Anyway.
You said you have a question?
No, I said I love questions.
Oh. I'll answer her question.
Do you want to come onto the show? Okay, cool.
Why? You're so amazing. Why not?
Anyway.
But I think it is a good mixture, and I think that self-esteem piece really has to play a significant part because you're right. You don't need to be validated or accepted if you're okay with who you are, you know. Or you find a group of people that does accept you for who you are, you know.
And be able to acknowledge or be able to identify if that validation is just to be able to manipulate you or get you.
Yes.
Because certain people could see that you need validation in this area, and then once I give you this validation, I am able to do X,
control
Y,
you.
Z. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned the sex trafficking piece, right? I can tell you that you're beautiful, and you don't hear that at all. You just get beat, and now it's like you finna cling on me because you see beauty within what I'm telling you. You know, so it
And that's
all
why
goes back to
it's
self.
super duper important. Like, this is my little PSA because I do a lot of work with sex trafficking, that we appropriately validate our kids early, especially if you have younger kids, like validating them early so nobody can come in and validate them against how you want them raised. You know, I think that's why we lose a lot of kids to gangs and sex trafficking and stuff like that, because they are not being validated, and their character is not being validated. So like you have sports players who are only validated because they play sports, but not because they're, you know, smart, or they, you know, whatever it could be that they have as a characteristic. So we really have to be aware, especially in the Black community, that we're not just validating external factors, we are also validating internal stuff for them too.
Be able to differentiate the two.
Yeah,
Thoroughly important.
100%.
Tia, good looking.
You know, you don't care about me.
Why do you say that?
Because you be acting like you don't want me here, and then I come and you always give me a good looking. You don't care about my feelings. You don't validate me, Will. I think
Okay.
you should practice validating right now.
The one thing I tell everybody, especially, I've told my girl this on numerous occasions. I've told every other woman this. I have a huge problem with affection.
Oh,
A huge issue with affection.
okay,
A huge challenge.
okay.
So understand, my way of showing affection is a little bit kind of weird.
That's okay.
Little bit
I
more-
accept your affection.
A little bit more, I don't want to say masculine, but rough.
Rough. Maybe it's rigid.
Okay.
I like rigid.
Okay.
I feel like it's but clearly she thinks that it's enough for her, which is beautiful.
I mean, she got no choice.
She gonna end this relationship with a boxer with a ring. She don't have no options. Well, you know, you ain't going nowhere.
For now. But good looking though, Tia, for coming through again.
Anytime.
Appreciate you.
Glad to pull up.
Appreciate you. So to all those individuals, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, that question that I normally ask. I didn't think to come up with one. This is the first time out of 79 episodes, I always come up with a question.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Haha. You talked earlier about teaching your kids these things early. So
Yep.
what is it that you think is going to be most important that you teach your child?
So my daughter Mackenzie, and
Beautiful name, by the way. I love it. I'm
my
so
daughter
pleased.
Mackenzie.
Are you okay with Mackenzie? Do you like it?
see,
Okay, that's
she
it.
got no
I
choice.
can see y'all baby being a Mackenzie too. Oh, I just can't wait to love on it. Can y'all have it tomorrow?
Fuck you, and no, we're not having it.
I just want to love on this baby so much.
Anyway, my daughter Mackenzie and Lil Junior.
I mean, I'm in love with Mackenzie. William, I like Mackenzie. I'm here for the little girl.
Y'all don't like Willis Cooks Jr.?
No, that's why I'm calling you William from now. I can't. No, give that baby a fighting chance, bro. Come on.
Y'all don't like Willis Cooks Jr. Are y'all serious right now?
I mean, there are like, cause you don't know what baby gonna be. Like you want to make sure. But what would you teach them? What is something you want them to know?
When it comes to validation and affection?
Just in general, what is a lesson that's important to you that you want them to know?
Hard work and believing in self. So when it comes to, sticking to the topic of the need for approval and validation, I guess sticking to that, the one thing I want my kid, the one thing I'm going to make sure they understand is the power of believing in self, the power of them believing in their own, I don't even want to say their own talents, but just their own hard work, right? More so than anything else. Just believing in the fact that if you're able to work your ass off when it comes to certain things, you will get rewarded in some type of way. It may not be the reward that you want. It's never, a huge amount of times, it's probably not going to be the reward that you want, but it's going to be a reward that's important for you. Validation in yourself more than anything, right? And understanding that, you know, don't always, like I said, don't always look for the approval in other people, right? Don't rely on people, right? And that may be, due from a personal level, that may be due to the lack of reliance I've had on other people. That may be due to the fact that I felt as if I didn't have anybody to have my back growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So for one of the things I'm going to make sure I teach my kid is that even though, you know, Mackenzie Willis is always gonna be here. Junior Willis is always gonna be here. You know, Daddy gonna be here regardless. But those times in which Daddy is not able to be there, understand that you got it.
My mom says that all the time.
We're gonna end the show in that moment because Mama is dope.
All the time. I love it.
Exactly.
That's her favorite line. You got it.
Exactly. You got it. Like, I tell her that all the time. You got it. You got it. Like, you got it. Like, cause you have to understand. All you got to do is just keep pushing. Like, regardless, it's gonna be times in which you hate it. It's gonna be times in which you don't like it. Like, even with the skydiving thing, right? Like going back on with your mother and the scared of heights. It's just like I still get scared. Like I be up there. That's why I pray. I get up there. I be quiet as hell in that plane. Quiet. My stomach don't be on 10 like it normally do. You know, and it's just like I be looking at certain white folks who be up there laughing and giggling. I'm like, y'all is crazy. Like y'all not scared. But it's not about. It's about being able to control the fear and not allowing it to control you. It's about being able for you, you know, future little ones or anybody that's listening. It's about being able to understand that the validation must come for you, even though you may be scared shitless. Just still go and do it. Because at the end of the day, if you are scared shitless about doing something and you're able to do it a little bit, you're going to surprise yourself, and then that's going to kind of manifest into you saying, "Hey, I ain't as bad." And the fact that you realize you're not as bad, it gives you a little wiggle room to believe in yourself, to know you are the shit.
Bet.
There we go. So, as always, those individuals that are listening and tuning in and all that good stuff, if you're going to listen to this today, tomorrow, next week, on Mars or Pluto or Uranus or whatever planet you're listening to this from, good looking. Tia,
Bro.
I appreciate you
Thank
for
you.
coming through.
Big little brother.
And all that good stuff. If you
That's your new name.
just
But
don't-
thank you
don't
for
call me William, though.
always coming on Sunday and speaking the realness, even when I was not a wonderful person here on this show. Even though you need me, I still listen, and you were still
As always,
positive.
understand, ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed. Take care of yourself. Be great, y'all.
Yeah.
Peace.